Thanks, Kristen. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the council meeting for Tuesday, March the 4th, 2025, and we're being streamed live, and I'll call the meeting to order at 6:30 with the land acknowledgement. We are meeting today on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. We acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within. We honor their cultures and celebrate their commitment to this land. We would also like to acknowledge the Mohawk and Algonquin nations whose traditional and unceded territory we are gathered upon today. Hastings County is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Thank you. Need a motion that the agenda for the regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Marmorn Lake for Tuesday, March the 4th, 2025 be approved as presented. I have a mover and a seconder, Eric and Ron. Any discussion on that agenda? Being none, all in favor? That's carried. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Being none, move on to the mayor's report, which is short this week. February the 18th, I attended Hastings County Finance, Property, and Personnel Committee meetings. At 1 o'clock that day, I attended a meeting for the Southeast Health Unit in Belleville in preparation for the regular SHU board meeting. At 6:30 that night, I presided over our regular meeting of Marmorn Lake Council. February the 19th, I presided over the Southeast Health Unit Finance Committee meeting for the purpose of electing a chair. Anne Marie Coiner was elected chair and she assumed the chair position then. February the 25th, I met with Dr. Peter Oglaza to prepare for the Southeast Unit Board meeting in Kingston. February 26th, I presided over that meeting in Brockville. February the 27th, I attended the regular meeting of Hastings County Council. March the 1st was the pancake breakfast sponsored by the Marmor Pentecostal Church and Free Methodist Church, with proceeds to the 2 local elementary schools. I understand the breakfast was a great success. I planned to attend but came down with the flu on Friday. But thank you to all who volunteered and organized the event and to all who were able to attend. This was a great event, and we are pleased that Marmorn Lake Council were partners in the success of this event by waiving the rental fees for the community center. Thank you. Next on the agenda, there's no public input. There's no one here. So the next is the correspondence 7.1, and we've received 2 pieces of correspondence, and I will ask the clerk to read those pieces of correspondence, please, Kristen.
The first is from Kelly Greenlee. To the attention of Municipal Clerk Kristen McConnell, please read this as a public input submission at the next up-and-coming council meeting. Good day, Mayor O'Neill, council and staff. On or about the beginning of February, I had completed the online municipal facility rental survey. As a resident and taxpayer, I of course wanted to participate in this survey. I completed the survey, but I was met with a bit of confusion when completing it. I felt quite honestly that certain questions required a bit more of a discussion and possibly more options for responses and perhaps more comment boxes for further discussion on my responses in this survey. Many of the questions I had to answer with I can't agree or disagree, as I felt like it required further discussion and there were no comment boxes to further explain why I chose that I can't agree or disagree. With this being said, and looking back on the survey that I took, I am not really satisfied with how I answered some of the questions. I also don't feel confident that this survey I took properly reflects my true opinions with the user fees for the municipal facilities and or the liability insurance for events, etc. I am writing you today to ask that the survey I completed for the municipal facility user rental fees be withdrawn, as once again, I am not confident in how I responded to this survey, and I feel it will not reflect my proper opinions in regards to it. I think some others have shared the same concern that I have had with this survey as well. Maybe perhaps this survey could be retracted altogether and redone, or maybe that is not even a possibility. I am appreciative, however, that these surveys are done for residents and taxpayers so they too can have their input. Please don't get me wrong. It's just the way this one has been done and the way I had to respond to it that I do not feel confident in how it reflects my true opinions, and therefore I feel the need to have my survey withdrawn. Thank you. With kind regards, Kelly Greenlee. And the second is from Jen Bennett. Hello, Council. I see you are considering how to move forward with facility usage and fees in the municipality. I wanted to share my thoughts with you. I would like you to consider the important role you play as councillors during a time when watching the news is so stressful. Getting off our screens to gather and socialize is important for our mental health. The public needs classes, vendor shows and markets, dances, fairs, and meals here in our town. The direction you take with these policies and bylaws will encourage or discourage people from organizing these events. I ask Council to pass policies and bylaws that support programming and events and make it easier to provide these services, events, and programs to our community. I understand the desire to close the financial gap made by our municipal facilities and ease the burden on the ratepayers. However, the 2025 draft budget, page 9, shows that recreation, facilities, and cultural services totals 9% of the budget. To me, that is not exorbitant if it allows for activities locally. Please consider a strategy that focuses on building our local culture, allowing programs and events to build a customer base. I suggest looking at how Tweed engages the community and provides an easy way for local experts to teach their craft, such as yoga, salsa dancing, and more. Finally, adding the public facility usage liability insurance program is a step toward making event and program planning more affordable for organizers, which is a no-brainer to me for such a nominal cost. Thanks for your consideration, Jen.
Thank you, Kristen. The recommendation is that council receive the input for information. Can I have a mover and a seconder, Eric and Mike? Any discussion on those pieces of correspondence? Being none, all in favor? That's carried. Next, we need a motion that the foregoing minutes of the regular meeting of the council of the municipality of Marmor Lake held Tuesday, February the 18th be approved as presented. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Ron, second. Jane, any discussion on those minutes? All in favor? That's carried. Staff reports. Kristen's report regarding the user fee bylaw 2024-21A, Schedule E, and the report regarding the facility rental survey results. The recommendation, I believe, Eric, you're going to make the recommendation.
Sure. I don't know if you want to receive the survey results first separately.
I don't think it's necessary. I think we can do that after. Am I right,
Okay.
Kristen? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd like to make a motion related to this. I have two motions. The first, I'll read. I've provided this to all members in the room on desk as well, so they can read along. Whereas Section 391C of the Municipal Act 2001, as amended, authorizes the municipality to impose fees or charges on persons for the use of its property, including property under its control. Whereas the Municipality of Marmor and Lake User Fee Bylaw 2024-21A, including Schedule E for facility rental fees, does not include distinctions between private for-profit or community groups and organizations, nor does it include reduced rates for those groups with municipal facilities for programs offering a wide community benefit to residents. Whereas the Council of the Municipality of Marmor and Lake has been tasked with granting fee reduction and waivers of facility rental fees on an individual basis with no supporting policy, and now wishes to establish a fair and equitable decision-making process. Whereas Council acknowledges the value and benefit that local Marmor and Lake volunteer groups and organizations bring to the community at large through events, community benefiting fundraisers, and programming for children, youth, and seniors. Whereas the residents of the municipality of Marmora Lake, through a public engagement survey, indicated that they are, by vast majority, in support of discounted rates for programs offered for children, youth, and seniors, and nearly all respondents are in support of discounted rates or fee waivers for not-for-profit organizations, and that fee waivers or discounts should be reserved for local groups only. And whereas council wishes to encourage free and subsidized public programming and events that promote community spirit, education, health, and well-being by enhancing the quality of life for the residents of Marmora Lake, as well as allow residents access to important social services within their own community. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Marmora Lake directs staff to develop a facility rental fee waiver and reduction request policy and application to support and append the user fee bylaw for community groups and organizations requesting the use of municipal facility programs, community benefiting fundraisers, and special events.
So can I get a seconder for that motion? Ron? Any discussion on that motion? Jane?
The motion is a very broad motion. I like where it's going. However, my concern is that it's encompassing everybody, and because we are currently working on an agreement between the Lions and the municipality of Marmora and Lake, I'm wondering if there should be a statement that somehow reflects them as a separate entity in looking at this.
Go ahead, Eric.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Lactos. In my second motion and details within the policy, I have included a line addressing the groups that have existing agreements,
Okay.
putting them outside of this policy.
Okay. Any other, Mike?
Yeah, and going through the survey, if you look at one section in there, ask people who should have discounts. Well, basically everybody should have a discount, which is just the way the question was worded, I think. The other thing is if you look at what we collected in fees last year and the last couple of years, it hasn't amounted to more than $5,000 or $6,000 for the whole year. So we're not talking a huge amount of money here if we gave everybody a discount. The other thing is in the survey, as Eric has pointed out, most of these groups that he's identified, most people in there said they should have a discount. So there's a majority of people who think that we should be giving these people discounts as we go along, especially youth programming, seniors, programs that enhance the community. You know, maybe they should have a discount. I've got like 2 pages of notes here following this. There's a couple things in there too. The current fees, 41.7 said that the fees are fair, 52.6 said they were high, and 6.2 said they were too low. So right at the moment, the fees are basically split 50-50 on people think they're too high or too low. But then later on, people said that people should have discounts off the existing fees. So we have to try to sort out what we're going to do. And I think from reading Eric's second motion here, there's a guidance going forward for staff as to how to try to sort some of it out. Not-for-profit events open to the public, 57% of the people said yes, they should get a discount, and 23% were neither here nor there. So that's like 80% of the people said they either should get a discount or it really didn't matter to them if they did. Some people said they should have it for free. I'm just trying to go through here. The majority of people out there think there should be some mechanism to give the not-for-profits and the community events a discount or some way to get them through, that they can afford to do these things. And I think like turning it over to staff, and if they follow Eric's next motion, which I've read, it gives a guideline to get started and come back to council. So that's my comments on it so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any further comments? Eric? did you
Well,
want to
just
comment?
for clarification, my intent with this motion was just that we can find consensus within council that we need some kind of policy or procedure to get away from approving groups individually. We need to set a rule so that we're looking at these groups that come forward with the same lens.
Thanks, Eric. Anything further? So I'll call to a vote on motion 1. All in favor?
Okay, I'm
That's carried.
confused.
That's carried. So motion 2, Eric, do you want to read that, please?
Okay, so this second motion that I'm going to read addresses some of the terms within what that policy would look like. So whereas the Council of the Municipality of Marmorant Lake has directed staff to develop a municipal facility rental fee waiver and reduction request policy and application to support and append the user fee bylaw for community groups and organizations requesting the use of municipal facilities for programs, community benefiting fundraisers, and special events. Whereas staff followed the direction of council under motion 2024-350 and completed a public engagement survey related to facility rental fees, Schedule E of the user fee bylaw, and have presented the results to council. Whereas the public has been engaged, provided opportunity to participate in the survey, and provide additional feedback. And whereas the staff report municipal facility rental survey results dated March 24th, 2025, recommends that council provide direction to staff about related updates to the user fee bylaw. Therefore, be it resolved that council directs staff to include within the municipal facility rental fee waiver and reduction request policy and application at minimum the following sections: a policy statement, scope, definitions, application procedure, conditions, eligible and ineligible applicants, and application form. That the policy be drafted to include the following facilities belonging to and operated by the municipality of Marmorant Lake, exclusively the community center or Lions Hall, the community hub, the William Shannon Room, Deloro Hall, and the fairgrounds. And that the following requirements be met by all applicants: that the applicant be a Marmorant Lake-based organization or group, unless the program or event primarily benefits the residents of the municipality of Marmorant Lake, or the applicant is providing a social service. That the applicant is in good financial standing with the municipality of Marmorant Lake as it relates to previous facility rentals. That the applicant fulfilled all their obligations for previous programs and events for which fees were waived or reduced. That the application be submitted within the required timeline as established in the policy. That a fee waiver or reduction cannot be combined with any other existing reductions within Schedule E of the user fee bylaw. So that applies to all. So now it's asked that applications be required to meet a minimum of 2 of the following criteria: demonstrate that the applicant involves volunteers and offer programs which address identifiable needs in the community or which bestow benefit to the general community and residents of the municipality of Marmorant Lake. Demonstrate a clear need for the waiver or reduction being requested in order to enable the organization or group to provide the specific program, initiative, or event. That the program or event promote education, health, and or well-being by enhancing the quality of life for the community and its residents. That the program and event is specifically offered for children, youth, seniors, or vulnerable populations. That the policy include two options, a fee waiver or a 50% reduction. That to qualify for a fee waiver, the program must be free of charge, open to the public, and does not offer items for sale or purchase. While a 50% fee reduction is available for applicants who meet the criteria details above, but charge an admission fee, a membership fee, a due, and or offer items for sale or purchase. That the following conditions be required of all successful applicants and applicants for the fee waiver and reductions. That the municipality of Marmora Lake be named in any promotional materials for the program or event. That all applicant organization or groups each be limited to a maximum cumulative waiver or reduction of $1,500 annually. That the applicant not sublet the rented facility to other persons or groups. That municipal staff or members of council may bring forward completed applications of exceptional circumstance or emergency for council consideration above and beyond the policy when deemed necessary. That notwithstanding, organizations and groups with existing agreements outside of this policy, being the Marmora Crow Valley Lions, the Marmora Agricultural Society, and the Marmora and Area Curling Club. And further, that a report summarizing granted waiving and reduction of fees be presented to council on an annual basis.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion? Ron? Any discussion? Ron?
Just a question, Eric. I don't quite understand the last paragraph, the emergency for council consideration. Could you give me an example of that?
I think if whether that be council or staff have a request or a group that doesn't comply exactly with the terms of this requirement, but can show that there's a community benefit to it, to allow room, if absolutely necessary, for that application to come forward, provided they've completed the application.
So that would save amending it. We could just meet. Yeah, okay, I get it. Thanks.
Jane?
I have a few questions. Depending on what store I walk in, seniors' ages up and down like a pump handle. Do we have an age that determines a senior?
I would let staff include that in definitions on what their scope of that was going to be. I know some of the information in the survey kind of collected perspective, so maybe to aggregate that, to define that in the definitions of the policy.
Okay. Why is the William Shannon room excluded?
It is on the list. The community center being the Lions Hall, the community hub, the William Shannon room, the Laurel Hall, and the fairground.
Yeah, so, well, why is the William Shannon room excluded? It says exclusively, so I'm assuming that these groups are not considered in the motion.
Sorry for the confusion. That is what it would apply to. So this policy doesn't cover the baseball diamond, the arena when there's ice, all the other facilities that we have. This policy, and so if a group wants to apply for a waiver or reduction, it's only available for these facilities, not other facilities outside of that list.
Okay, this is pertaining to facilities. Okay, okay, all righty. Which address identified?
And the intent there is just, again, so it's making those community spaces available to the public and not, we don't need to discount the ICE
Correct.
rental.
Correct, correct. Okay, okay. I'm sorry. I misinterpreted. Okay, last paragraph, second page, or which bestow benefit to the general community and residents of the municipality of Marmot Lake. What is the difference between general community and the residents?
On the first page,
Second page, last paragraph, last line. I just don't understand what the difference is between the general community and the residents.
okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, I've got a package of 3 pieces. Yeah, sorry, my fault, Eric.
Well, I'm just expanding the definition of the community, right? That if an event is applying for a waiver, that the community see a benefit from that, right? The general community, not necessarily specific groups.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric. Mike, did you have
Oh,
your hand up?
Oh, I still had more questions.
Go ahead.
No, Mike, did you have your hand up?
Well, just on Jane's comment, I think the general community means just what Eric said. It can't benefit just one specific segment of the population or one specific group. It's got to benefit the entire community.
Thanks, Mike. Jane, did you have something else?
Well, I still had other,
Oh, go
other
ahead.
questions.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, unfortunately, no. Okay, to demonstrate on the last page, to demonstrate a clear need for the waiver reduction being requested in order to enable the organization or group to provide the specific program initiative event. Does that include any and all events by groups applying? I think I'm.
Yeah, just to explain that, where I was, my intent with that, demonstrate a clear need for the waiver. An example would be, we have groups that come forward that don't charge any admission fee, put on a whole event for free. They wouldn't be able to do that if they had to pay a user fee for the day. So a recent example is the Marmot Lake Events Group, in partnership with the Lions, put on a family day for the kids. There was no cost to that. That was open to anyone, all youth in the community. If they partnered with the Lions to use that facility, but if that had been an independent group, that event would not have been possible. So a fee waiver enables an event like that to happen.
Okay, so when we had MacFest, they wanted us to reduce. They wanted council to reduce the rate so they could increase their donations back to the community. Is that part of your intention with this comment?
No, that wasn't my intent with that
Okay. Okay. And then down in the second paragraph, and does not offer items for sale or purchase. Does that include like pancake breakfast? Okay.
Yeah, so that would include a fundraiser like that. However, using that example, they would be, if they met the other criteria, they would be eligible for a 50% fee reduction on that event. My thought there is, events that charge something or have a fee have an ability or opportunity to recoup some of that user fee. As a municipality, I believe we should be encouraging these events to happen by reducing the barrier being the fee. That allows more money to flow back to the community and to some of these groups and allow events to even happen. So that's why how I've structured this is if it's a free event, then they're eligible to apply for a full waiver. If there's a charge associated with it, 50%.
Okay, and just two more items. That the municipality of Marmon Lake be named in any promotional materials for the program event. What happens if they don't?
So if they don't, going back to the first page, that the applicant fulfilled all of their obligations for previous programs, events for which fees were waived or reduced. So if a group doesn't complete that obligation, then that is a consideration. They wouldn't be able to apply for another fee waiver unless they complied with that condition.
Okay, and I would just, something that I would like maybe added to that line. I don't know what needs to be in the motion, or it can just be as it's in development, is when we say the municipality of Marmon Lake, I always call it the ratepayers of the municipality of Marmon Lake. I think I'd like the wording to specifically recognize the ratepayers, not just the municipality, because it's individuals who are all contributing. The individual residents are all contributing to the success of the events. And okay, good. And just a comment I have, and it's kind of going on what I was thinking. And for further that, summarizing that a report summarizing granted waiving and reduction of fees be presented to council on an annual basis. I really like that. I think that's really good. But and this is just something that I'll bring up to Nancy later. I'm wondering if there's a way that we can see what the cost to the municipality is to put on these events. Is it costing us on an annual basis $20,000? Is it costing us $10,000? Because to go in and set these events up, the tables, the chairs, the cleaning, the after cleaning, it costs the municipality money. So I as a ratepayer would be curious to know what the cost is to the municipality to offer these reductions.
Yeah, to address that through the chair, that's why I have included a $1,500 maximum annual reduction or waiver to put a cap on that based on the public survey. That's what the public told us, that they agree groups should get waivers, but it shouldn't be absolutely unlimited. So that holds a bit of financial accountability to a program like this. And if we look at the results of this on an annual basis, we can make changes as needed in the future, because we'll have an opportunity to look and see, was this successful? What did we actually grant? How many groups use this program? And also what events happened that haven't happened before because we've provided this opportunity for groups to use a process.
Okay, so just based on your last comment, I have a question for the clerk. So if as this process rolls along year after year after year, and we decide we need to make changes year after year, does each change require a motion, or is it strictly an administrative change?
Through the chair, I think because it's a policy that's attached to a bylaw, to the user fee bylaw, the amendment process isn't quite as cumbersome as amending a bylaw.
Okay,
Yeah, I would like to look into that further to explain exactly what that process would look like. We don't have a lot of policies that go along with bylaws right now. But I know that you are supposed to be able to make some administrative changes without sort of amending the whole thing through council every time. So that's something I would like to look into further.
Yeah, I think this is something we'll have to look at, and the intent here was that this is a starting point in the process to deal with these groups that are coming forward, as well as including the feedback from the public and taking some of the feedback from groups that we know struggle to put on events and provide programming because of the cost. So certainly in a year from now, we can look back and say, is 50% the right number? Is $1,500 cap the right number? Is this not open enough? Should we change some of the conditions based on who the applicants are and staff's experience dealing with the application?
Thank you, Eric. Go ahead, Kristen.
Through the chair to Councillor Lakatos, you had mentioned adding the word ratepayers of the municipality of Marmorant Lake. I would need a motion to amend the main motion to add the words ratepayers of the. Would you like to
Could we
make
do-
that motion?
Can we do just a friendly amendment? Because it's very, very vague.
I would,
Without going through the motion.
I would feel better if we made a motion
want to
to
make a
amend.
motion? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to make that motion amendment, Jane?
Microphone, sorry.
I would like it to read just the first point, that the ratepayers of the municipality of Marmorant Lake be named in any promotional materials for the program/event.
Can I get a seconder for that, Ron? Any further discussion? Ron?
Yeah, just one question and one statement. I'd like to thank Eric for all the work he done on this. It's a good policy with a lot of good information, but my question is, Eric, where does celebration of life
Ron,
fit in?
Ron, this is just on the amendment.
Oh,
of
sorry,
the
I thought we
word,
were-
And then I'll give you a chance to,
Okay.
so on the amendment to add the word ratepayers, that's the motion that's before us. So we have a mover and a second. You did second that, Ron,
Yep,
did you?
yep.
Okay, all in favor of the amendment? Okay, that's carried. Okay, Ron, go ahead.
I don't know where I was. First of all, the question, Eric, where does celebration of life fit into this policy, in your opinion?
I don't think it does. Again, I think there would be exceptional circumstances if we had a very prominent community member
Right.
that was having that kind of celebration. I think those type of events don't take a whole lot of municipal resources and only use facilities for a very short window. So our user fees are very reasonable, but that's why there is a clause in there for exceptional circumstances if there was something or someone that we needed specifically to recognize that would be available if it didn't fall under these conditions.
Yeah, I had an opportunity. I was talking to Madoc Township a while ago, and what their policy is, they waive the fee for any residents of the municipality for a celebration of life, and I just wondered what our thoughts were on that. And again, I want to thank Eric for this document. It's a lot of good information in there, and it took a lot of work, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Ron. Anything further? I would just like to again thank Eric for putting this all together. I just want to make it known that I'm in full support, and I know this council is in full support for all community events that take place. We really appreciate the volunteers and the organizers and their contributions to the community. However, I have to say that I do believe that we have to be aware and respectful of the costs as it relates to the ratepayers, because every time we turn on the lights and every time we run the water or whatever, there is a cost associated with that. However, again, we went out to the ratepayers, to the taxpayers to put this survey out. And I think Eric has captured the results of the survey from the public. And I think that that's the direction we need to go. It's a good base point, at least, like Eric said, maybe over the years, we're going to have to revisit it again, depending on, we'll build a history and know where you know, there's exceptional circumstances or whatever that might cause us to want to change it. I like the way it's going to be set out as a policy because to Jane's point, it's so much easier to come to council with just the change in policy than to go through the whole bylaw thing of revisiting the fee schedule and all of that. So I think this is a good base for doing that because this is something that's fluid. I mean, we're always going to be requested for waivers and we're going to have to think about it because some of them will be exceptional, maybe some we've never heard before. So I think having it as a policy makes it more manageable for staff. And I think this sets out a good format for staff to develop those policies. So, and I also really am really pleased that you included in it that when the municipality of Marmon Lake be named as in any promotional materials, because when we're asked to waive fees, we in fact are partners in providing these events and supporting these events. And I think that we deserve recognition. The municipality deserves recognition. Without these facilities and without us providing those facilities, these events couldn't happen. And so when we reduce rates or we waive fees, and no matter like when they say they're going to make a donation to the food bank or to the children's breakfast lunches or whatever, I think that the municipality should be named when we waive fees and so forth, because in fact, the fees that would have come to the municipality are now contributing to the donations made. So I think that should be mandatory. So anyway, again, thank you, Eric, and thank you everyone for your comments. So we have a mover and a seconder for this motion as amended. Can I have a vote all in favor? That's carried. And again, thank you very much, Eric.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for your questions and thank you to the public who completed the survey and provided the feedback and all those that I spoke to about the survey.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the Municipal Freedom of Information and Privacy Act head designation. And the recommendation is the council accept this Municipal Freedom of Information and Privacy Act head designation report dated March the 4th, 2025. And further that council directs staff to bring forward a bylaw to delegate all of its power and duties under MNPIPA to the municipal clerk for enactment at the next regular council meeting. I have a mover and a seconder for that, please. Mike? And Jane seconds. Any discussion on that? Go ahead, Jane.
As a prior business owner and knowing that things can only be stretched so far, number one mostly being resources, is this something that the clerk has to take on solely their own, or is it something that assistance can be looked for with other staff members?
Through the chair, a clerk is able to delegate authority to staff for various roles, so it would be reasonable that other staff members would be able to help. Yeah, we don't receive a ton of freedom of information requests,
Okay.
but it is something that our current staff are quite new to. So it may have to be a group effort as we're kind of figuring out how to do it well moving forward.
Because you're really good at your job. I just don't want you to see you spread too thin.
Thank you.
If I can take that to the next step, typically it is the clerk that is the designated head.
Yes, sorry, designated as the head.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that other staff can't help with, and you would have to work with other departments as well, by law and building, when pulling some of those records that have been requested. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that the wording of the bylaw does not pigeonhole you in and that you can't look for help.
Okay. Any further comments? All in favor? That's carried. Next is the municipal election alternative voting method. And the recommendation is the council accept the 2026 municipal election alternative voting method report dated March the 4th, 2025, that the alternative voting method of internet and telephone voting be authorized for the 2026 and subsequent municipal elections, that the municipal clerk be authorized to participate in a joint request for proposal for internet and telephone voting services with the Hastings County Clerks and Treasurers Association, and to procure the necessary goods, services, and equipment, including technology, required to carry out municipal elections, and to execute any required documents, agreements, or contracts in support thereof, in keeping with the procurement policy in force and effect at the time of the procurement. And further, that council directs staff to bring forward the draft bylaw as presented for enactment at the next regular council meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Jane, second Mike. Any comments? Jane?
Given the times that we're in, the companies that will be sought to provide the services, are they Canadian?
Good point.
Through the chair, I don't know.
Can we find out?
I'm sure I can try to find out.
Because I
Yeah.
would like to think that a Canadian company is helping Canadians.
That would be ideal,
That's my 2 cents worth.
but I don't know that,
Okay,
but I can find out.
thank you.
Anything further? Mike?
Just a comment, as a senior, there was a lot of people worried about the seniors not being able to vote or do things in the last election. A friend of mine who is quite senior to me did a little digging around in the province of Ontario, and apparently citizens over 65 overwhelmingly voted electronically and outvoted the people who are under 45 in the province.
Yeah,
So I don't think us old people are that bad at handling a computer or a telephone. Thank you.
Eric?
Through the chair to the clerk, for information, can you also clarify, will there be in-person voting at town hall as there has been in previous years?
Through the chair, that would be my intention. We provided, town hall was basically a voter help center. And because it's online and through the phone, we don't have to wait until election day. It's not an advanced poll, but a polling period where people were able to vote for about 2 weeks, I believe. And so during that time, anyone with questions or concerns or any uncertainty were able to come into town hall. The front office staff were trained on how to help them. We had iPads available. We're able to walk them through that process if that was needed. And then council chambers was set up on election day where staff was here, so people could come and vote, just to have that sort of typical voting experience, but also if they were uncertain or felt they might not be able to do it on their own, could have help provided on that day as well. So that was quite successful. I was part of that team out front last time around, and things ran very smoothly, and it was wonderful to be able to help people to know that you were putting their minds at ease about something that they might be nervous about. So I would intend to offer those same services again this time.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
And I was going to say that the results came through very quickly. Thank you. Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Next, correspondence for direction, Building Inspection Services Board. The January 2025 report, and the recommendation is that council receive the report for information. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Ron? And second, Eric? Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, election 2020 Ontario election priorities and Ontario 2025 election recommendation cards. And the recommendation is that council receive the correspondence for information. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Jane and Eric, any discussion on that recommendation? All in favor? That's carried. Bylaws. There are none. Any notices of motion? There are none. Announcements? Anyone have announcements? Jane?
I was at the pancake dinner at the pancake breakfast on Saturday morning. It was a very good breakfast. However, I will say that considering our discussion that we had here, the municipality was not mentioned in the paperwork or thanked vocally for its participation, though I'm sure it was intended. And it was a simple oversight, but the volunteers were great and the breakfast was pretty good.
Thank you, Jane. Go ahead, Eric.
A couple of announcements. Merv the Iceman has been doing great work at the outdoor rink. Despite the warmer weather and the rain, he is trying to save the rink so that it will be open for March break for youth and to get out there and families to enjoy during the March break time period. So keep your fingers crossed, please, for colder weather so that we can get the last hurrah out of the rink. During March break, there's also programming going on every day at the library. You can check out the library's Facebook page for information on those programs that they have running every day. Saturday, the Women in Wellness Expo is taking place at the community center from 11 till 5. It's open to everyone. As well, there is a high tea and silent auction event hosted by the Park and Wellness Home and Retreat Center, and that's in support of the Three Oaks Foundation from 11 a.m. on at 7 Forsyth. The Municipality of Marmorant Lake Economic Development Advisory Committee has a current vacancy and is looking for a member to join that advisory board. If you're a motivated member of the community looking to share your experience or expertise on matters related to economic development, policy, strategy, tourism, and community building, please check that out on the municipal website. There's information on how to apply for that program, or sorry, to that advisory committee. And last announcement, the public budget meeting is March 11th. That's next Tuesday at 6 o'clock here in Town Hall, and also streamed live on YouTube. If anyone wants to watch that or submit correspondence or letters or feedback, they can do so until tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Anybody else? I just have one tomorrow in recognition of International Women's Day. There's an event, a ribbon cutting ceremony at Crescent Fair at 2 o'clock, and everyone is invited, and I've been invited to participate in the ribbon cutting ceremony, so I will be there. So that's anything else from anyone? Okay, so next we need to move into the closed session. The council proceed into closed meeting session under Municipal Act Section 239(2)(e), litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and it's regarding a litigation update. So can I have a mover and a seconder? Ron, second Jane. All in favor? That's carried. So we'll give Kristen a minute to